These are some of my recommended books on writing. This is part one in a series. Today we're looking at Bird by Bird by Lamott. So many books on writing provide prompts, give you advice on character writing, story structure, narrative, implotment, and everything. But one of the reasons I think that I constantly return to Lamott is because so much of her writing has to do with the mental life of the writer. In fact, if you've taken a college writing composition course, there's a pretty good chance you've already read this chapter, Shitty First Drafts, which essentially takes you step by step through how to enter the kind of mental space required to let yourself write shitty first drafts, with the understanding that because writing is rewriting, those shitty first drafts will eventually be revised into much better drafts. And this is a crucial starting point for writing. Lamott's book is extremely rereadable, one, because the prose is just good, but also because I think the way that she is especially attuned to the psychology of the writer and the psychology of the writing process. I have noticed with a lot of writers who are writing about writing that it's kind of common to adopt this sort of really harsh, tough love kind of orientation. And though I think that can be useful, I also sometimes think that these writers are kind of doing it to stroke their own egos. And one thing that I do appreciate about Anne Lamott's writing is that it is kind of hand-holdy, but in a way that maintains integrity and it is still extremely useful. I return to this book over and over again because I find that every time I do return to Lamott's book, I get something new out of it. It sort of keeps on giving. Writing is stereotyped as this sort of torturous process. The writer is the tortured artist, all of this, and there is some truth to that. Writing can be kind of a psychologically violent process sometimes, but for me, Lamott's book has always sort of been there as this sort of collection of sage wisdom that gets me through it when the going is rough. So that is why I recommend Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott.